Canister filters are the way to go if you want crystal clear water quality, but they do require some maintenance. In today's video, I'm going to show you the type of cleaning I do about once a year, a real deep cleaning, getting into all those nooks and crannies to ensure that it's running at maximum efficiency. What up, fish friends? My name is Michael. Hope you're having a wonderful day. I own an aquarium cleaning company, and the go-to filter is the Canister filter. They do such a good job at keeping your tank clean, crystal clear water. But like every other type of filter, you need to stay on top of cleaning them. Otherwise, they get clogged, gunked up, and stop doing their job properly. Keep in mind that there's many types of canister filters out there. You might have a different one, but chances are it's very similar to mine, and you're going to go through the same process regardless of what type you have. You're not going to need any crazy tools today. All the normal aquarium cleaning stuff: buckets, towels, scrubby brush, sponge, pipe cleaner, and then depending on how old your filter is, you might need some aquarium silicone lubricant. First things first, you always want to turn off your canister filters before working on them. If you have a built-in heater inside your canister filter, it's especially important that that's off, because what will happen is as the water level in your filter goes down, that heater is going to work because the thermostat's at the top, and it's going to boil this water, fusing all of the plastic trays inside together. Most canister filters these days will have a valve built into the lid. You can either turn that off before you undo the plumbing, or in this case, as soon as I disconnect this from the filter, that's the valve shutoff mechanism. Every filter is different. A lot of the older ones do tend to leak a little bit, so I like to get a towel and place that underneath. That way it doesn't warp my particle board stand that I bought used and is already warped, but at least it won't make things worse. I always like to fill up a couple buckets of tank water because there's going to be a ton of sponges in there that are filled up with gunk and sediment. Easiest way to clean them out is in these buckets. You can drain water down with your little aquarium siphon, or if you want to expedite the process, grab yourself some 1-inch or 3/4 inch hose, and that's gonna fill up this bucket in no time. The first thing we're gonna clean out are the sponges. Those are the parts of the filter that actually trap all of the sediment and gunk and debris in your tank. When you think about crystal clear water quality, the sponges are actually what make that happen in combination with the pump. So a really cool feature about this filter is that it's got a ring of sponges before I have to open up this whole chamber. And these are so easy to clean out. This is what I do once a week. Open this chamber up, empty these sponges into here, wring them out in the bucket. That's it. If you own an Awaze Biomaster, that's all you got to do for your weekly cleanings. So easy, takes about 60 seconds. But like I mentioned, we're going to get into the nooks and crannies of this filter and get everything cleaned out. So especially important at this point, when you open up the filter, if you don't have that valve shut, like I mentioned before, if the hosing is still hooked up to your filter and it's open, as soon as you pop this canister, the lid off, water is going to start flowing through. So absolutely essential, make sure that the valve is shut. And it's a good idea to, have a spare bucket for you to just rest some parts in. No matter how much you drain all the water out, there's always seems to be more to leak. So just put the top in a bucket. And then at this point, we're just going to go through here and clean out all the sponges. Look at that, guys. Super gunked up. This should be orange. So you can do it in tap water too, but I prefer to just use water that's in a bucket. It's so much faster to wring out. See, there you go. And then you can take this water, this gunky, filthy water, and dump it on your house plants or tomatoes, zucchini, whatever veggies you're growing in your garden. And then I like to rest a towel on the ground as I clean these things out. I'm just going to plop them on there. And then you're probably going to have a lot of biological filter media in here. I don't really clean this out at all. If you let your filter get really gunked up, you might need to just dunk this in some water like that, rinse it out. But you don't want to be messing with this stuff too much because you'll agitate the beneficial bacteria and then they won't be beneficial anymore. After you've gone through your filter and picked up all these sponges, a lot of that debris and detritus and stuff is going to land inside this filter, and it's important to pour the water out. Oh, yeah. Even though my filter obviously hasn't been spitting out crap water into my tank, that is the water that I just poured out of the filter. And that's all from picking up these sponges and loosening gunk and funk up in there. So make sure to drain it out. When it comes time to put your filter back together, I do think that order matters. What I like to do is put my coarse sponge on the bottom. So I got 2 layers of that. Reason I like to put that down there first is because that is your first layer of defense. Going to trap all of the coarse to medium-sized particles in the water that get missed by this layer of sponges. And then for the 3rd, 4th, and 5th trays, I'm going to put in the biological media. As you can see, the stuff hasn't gotten that dirty. That's because I have a few layers of sponges before them, trapping all of those big particles. I should also note that you don't want to fill these trays up completely with biological media like lava rock or ceramic rings. Reason being is because a full tray of ceramic media is really going to impede your water flow, reducing the amount of water your aquarium can filter. So usually go about 1/3, half of the way up on these. And then last but not least, you want your fine sponge. This should always go on at the very end. Some people use filter floss, but I prefer fine sponge because it's not disposable. Okay, now that we've cleaned out the sponges and media and stuff in your filter, it's time to have a look at some of the more, I guess, complicated parts of the filter. These are the parts that I think a lot of people don't think about getting to. And that's because they're kind of hidden away. So, oh yeah, that's real dirty. Now, let's have a look at some of these components in the filter that actually keep things running. This part of the filter is really important to clean out if you are hearing noises or you think that it's running at a reduced flow. Chances are, you could have some issues with the impeller. If I can open it here, there we go. And the impeller is just kind of like the propeller on a boat, but in your filter. Oftentimes this part can be hard to open. You might need like a little flat edge screwdriver or tweezers or something like that to kind of pry it out. Blink. Then look at that. Look at all this gunk on here. It is so dirty. You can pull out this little impeller shaft like there. You clean it out. All this stuff on here, cleaning that out is going to make it run way smoother. And then pull out the actual impeller itself. Look at that thing. It is so gunked up. And basically the way that this works is there's a magnet in here that spins around there, which causes this to spin. And when you have all this gunk on here, it reduces the ability of the magnet to work efficiently. It also can cause a noise, tick, 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 clink, 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 the annoying noise. Maybe you get a little snail stuck in there. That's going to cause even more noise. So all you got to do is clean this stuff off. Rinse it in water. That'll get a good chunk of the debris off. You can use one of these pipe cleaners to get in there. You know, pretty straightforward. Just use your brain to make sure that everything's clean. As nasty and gross as that looked, it took me like a whole 10 seconds to clean it off. And it's your filter, it's hidden, right? You don't need to spit polish that. That's good enough. And then I really want to get this rod cleaned off. Looks like it's kind of solidified, whatever's on there. But optimizing or cleaning that out is really going to optimize the flow rate, because this is what's causing the flow, this spinning. Anything on here is going to really slow that down. All right, a sponge didn't work with that, so I'm going to try this old knife. You know, don't take your new fancy knife or buck knife or anything. Just some old crummy knife is good. Go ahead and scrape that off. There we go. Much, much better. Look at that. And then last but not least, you really want to get in there and clean all that gunk out. I think this is going to be your best tool. If you don't have a pipe cleaner, you can wrap some paper towel around your finger and get it in there. But there we go. It's already looking good. Last thing you want to clean out on this filter head is anywhere that water comes in or out, tubing, little chambers, stuff like that. They can be really hard to see, but basically, you know, anywhere the impeller is, it's going to be pulling water in around there. So you're going to take this and shove it in the hole there as far as it will go. Clean that out. Oh, tons of stuff on there. And then over here where that sponge ring is, it's going to be another spot. Pretty good job cleaning in there. Good stuff. And that's never going to be perfect, right? You can't see what's in there anyways. So you just want to make sure that there's nothing big, no big chunks causing things to block up. Go in there. Bing, 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 like that. Done. And then in terms of putting it back together, pretty basic. There's always going to be 2 rubber heads on each impeller shaft. There's one stuck down at there. So I'm going to stick the impeller in, and they usually only fit one way. The bladed part is going to be on the top, and then stick the shaft through it. If it's not squeezed tight together, or if you're missing this top part, you're going to hear lots of clicking and rattling. Super, super annoying. So make sure you don't misplace those parts. One last thing to talk about before you put your filter back together is the O-ring or the gasket. This is a very important part of your filter, something that people don't talk about often enough. This is what prevents water from spilling out. So yeah, okay, you get a decent fit with these clamps shutting it down, but what's really doing the magic is this O-ring. And the longer you have it, the more brittle it's going to get, which makes it less effective. So what you're going to want to do, and I don't have any on me to show you, but it's pretty straightforward. You're going to pop this gasket off, and you're going to use aquarium silicone lubricant. It's very important that it has to be aquarium safe or food grade, because something like Vaseline is not going to do a good job on this. It could be bad for your fish, and also lead to deterioration of your O-ring, make it go brittle and leak water. Very bad case scenario. So take this out and just use that silicone lubricant, wrap it around here. Another thing you can do is just pop this off every now and then, dunk it in some water, take your sponge, go around there, and then if that gap where it normally sits in looks dirty, you can get in there with your sponge too and clean it out. So a filter that's sucking in air through the gasket, you can tell because your filter will keep bubbling out, spitting air. Now it's normal for a new filter to do this when your sponges are airlogged or when you've just cleaned it out and there's a lot of fresh air inside your canister. But if your filter's been running for mine like a year or something, or 3 years, and it's still doing that, then chances are either your filter is super clogged and or your gasket needs to be relubed. Before you pop the lid on your filter, make sure that all of these trays are lined up. Little gaps and cracks like this one might mean that the lid doesn't fit on snug and you'll get a little bit of water leakage. Make sure that you close these latches really, really well. If you feel a lot of pressure when you're trying to close them, chances are those trays aren't lined up properly or the gasket's not on right. If you're really trying to force those closed, then there's a problem. You could even have the electrical cord lodged in there. I've made all these mistakes before and it results in a leaky filter. So make sure you get things right, take your time, and seal everything up just right so there's no leaks. One last important part cleaning these canisters out are the hoses. I absolutely hate doing this for whatever reason, so I save it for the end. But it's really important you think about it. These are like the arteries and veins. If they're clogged up, it's going to reduce the amount that the filter can pump, right? The heart. So make sure these are all cleaned out. Really easy to do, although for some reason I hate it. Take the in and out, and you make sure that you do them at the same time. If you pull one of the hoses out before the other, then what you could get is a siphon where water is flowing out of your tank and into the bucket. Not a big deal for a minute. Quickly shut that valve, but you don't want to spill water on your floor. All you want to do is take your brush and clean it out. So one of these pipe cleaners is a super handy dandy tool. I use it all the time at work. Just stick it in there, go down line, and pull it out. Usually one round is enough. Something you'll want to be cautious of if you have an inline CO2 diffuser, this going down to there, it'll get stuck in that diffuser, and these are kind of fragile. You might break the tip off, and then you got to open apart the whole thing. So come in from this angle, and then you can open up the bottom as well and clean it out from the other side if you do have that inline diffuser. That's it for cleaning out the canister filter. Only took about 20 minutes, so don't let this process get the best of you. Just go ahead and knock it out. You're not going to regret the clean water in your tank. Let me know, did I forget anything? Did I forget to mention something that you do when you're cleaning out your canister filter? If you enjoyed today's video, found it useful, then make sure you hit that like, subscribe button, support my channel by watching some other content or purchasing something through an affiliate link. Really appreciate your support. Until next time, see ya.